Hello and welcome to Story Path English. My name is Maya. I'm so excited to share my story with you. This is a story about my journey from a quiet village to a new life in London. I'm a student of English literature, and I want to help you learn English while you listen to my story. This video is perfect for beginners, but everyone can enjoy it. Here on Story Path English, we learn English through stories. My story is simple. I use easy words so you can understand. You can follow along, repeat the words, and practice your English. Are you ready? Let's begin. If you like this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss our next video. Let's start. My name is Maya. I'm 20 years old. I come from a small village. My village is quiet, so peaceful. There are green fields, tall trees, and a small, gentle river. The people in my village, they're kind, but life is simple. We don't have big schools or libraries. I love my village, but deep in my heart, I always wanted to see the world, to go somewhere new. In my village, I went to a small school. We studied math, science, and history, but my favorite subject was English. I loved reading English stories. My teacher, Mrs. Anika, gave me a book of short stories, stories about adventure, love, and new places. I read them every single night. The words, they were hard. Sometimes I didn't understand, but I tried. I really tried. I didn't know many English words. I was just a beginner. Sometimes I felt frustrated. I wanted to speak English well. I wanted to talk to people from other countries. I wanted to share my ideas. But in my village, nobody spoke English. I only had my books and my dreams. One day, Mrs. Anika said to me, "Maya, you love English. Why don't you go to a big city? You can learn more, study English literature, meet new people." I was excited but so scared. A big city? I had never left my village before. But Mrs. Anika, she smiled. She said, "You are brave, Maya. You can do it." That night, I thought about her words. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to see new places. So, I made a big decision. I would go to London. London, a big city in England, where people speak English every day. I could learn so much. I told my parents about my plan. My mother, she was worried. She said, "Maya, London is far. It's so different from our village." But my father, he looked at me. He said, "You are strong, Maya. Follow your dreams." They helped me save money for my trip. I was so happy, so grateful. It was a sunny morning when I left my village, packed a small bag, my clothes, my English books, and a photo of my family. My parents, they hugged me. They said, "Be careful, Maya. Call us when you arrive." I felt happy but so nervous. I was going to London. I took a bus to the city, then a train. The train was fast. I looked out the window and saw fields, houses, rivers. It was beautiful but so new. 2 people were sitting near me, an old man and a young woman. They were speaking English. I listened carefully, but I didn't understand everything. I knew some words like hello, train in London, but they spoke so fast. I wanted to practice my English. I was shy, so shy, but I remembered Mrs. Anika's words. Be brave, Maya. So, I took a deep breath. I smiled and said to the woman, Hello, my name is Maya. I go to London. My English was simple, but the woman, she understood me. She smiled and said, Hello, Maya. My name is Sarah. Why are you going to London? I was so happy. She understood me. I said, I want to learn English. I am a student. Sarah, she was kind. She said, That's wonderful. London is a great place to learn English. Do you like to read books? I nodded and said, Yes. I read English stories. We talked for 15 minutes. Sarah told me she was a teacher in London. She gave me her phone number. She said, Call me if you need help in London. I felt so lucky. I met a kind person on my first day. When the train arrived in London, I said, Goodbye, Sarah. Thank you. She waved and said, Good luck, Maya. I felt excited, so excited. London was big and noisy. The tall buildings, red buses, so many people. I was a little scared, but I was ready to start my new life. London was so different from my village. The streets were busy. Everyone was walking fast. I stayed in a small room in a house with other students. The house was old but cozy. My roommates, they were from Spain, Japan, and Brazil. They spoke a little English just like me. On my first day, I went to an English school. The school was big, so many classrooms. I was nervous, so nervous, but I remembered Sarah's words. Good luck, Maya. I walked into the school and met my teacher, Ms. Emma. She was young and so friendly. She said, Welcome, Maya. We're happy you're here. I felt a little less nervous. In my class, there were 10 students. We came from different countries. We introduced ourselves. I said, Hello. My name is Maya. I am from a village. I want to learn English. The other students, they smiled and clapped. I felt so welcome. Ms. Emma said, In this class, we learn English by using it. We don't study boring textbooks. We talk, read stories, and have fun. I was so happy to hear this. Textbooks, they were hard for me. Ms. Emma said, When you learn a language, you need to use it every day. Speak, listen, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. We played a game in class. Ms. Emma gave us pictures of food, animals, and places. We had to say the names in English. I knew some words like cat, dog, and apple, but I didn't know the word for elephant. Ms. Emma helped me. She said, "An elephant is a big animal with a long nose." I repeated, "Elephant." Everyone laughed, and I laughed too. It was fun, so much fun. After class, I walked around London. I saw Big Ben and the River Thames. Everything was new and exciting. I felt like I was in one of my English stories. That night, I called my parents. I said, "I'm in London. I love my school." They were so happy for me. On my second day at school, Ms. Emma taught us how to learn new words. She said, "The best way to learn new words is by reading. When you read, you see words and stories. You understand how to use them." I loved reading, so this was exciting. Ms. Emma gave us a short story, a story about a girl who travels to a new city. The story was simple. It had words like house, friend, and journey. When I didn't know a word, Ms. Emma said, "Use a dictionary. Look up the word, read its meaning. Then try to use the word in a sentence." For example, I didn't know the word journey. I looked it up in my dictionary. It means a trip from one place to another. I made a sentence. "My journey to London was long." Ms. Emma said, "Great job, Maya." She also said, "Choose books that are interesting for you. If you like adventure, read adventure stories. If you like love stories, read those. When you enjoy the book, learning is easy." That evening, I went to a bookstore in London. I found a book called The Little Prince. It was a simple story, perfect for beginners. I read for 30 minutes before bed. I didn't understand every word, but I used my dictionary. I learned new words like star, planet, and friendship. Ms. Emma told us to write new words in a notebook. She said, "Don't just write the word. Write a sentence with it. This helps you remember." So, I started a notebook. For example, I wrote, "Star. I see a bright star in the sky." Planet. The little prince lives on a small planet. Friendship. Friendship is important to me. I read every night, and my English, it got better. I felt so proud of myself. One day in class, a student named Carlos asked a question. He said, "How can I speak English better? I know words, but I'm shy." I understood Carlos. I was shy too, so shy. Sometimes I was afraid to speak. I didn't want to make mistakes. Ms. Emma said, "Speaking is the most important part of learning a language. You need to practice every day. Don't worry about mistakes. Mistakes help you learn." She taught us a technique called thinking aloud. She said, "When you think aloud, you say your thoughts in English. For example, if you're hungry, say, 'I am hungry. I want to eat an apple.' This helps you practice speaking." I tried thinking aloud at home. When I woke up, I said, "Good morning, Maya. It's a sunny day. I will go to school." My roommates, they laughed, but they liked it. They started thinking aloud too. Ms. Emma also said, "Talk to people in English. Go to a cafe, a shop, or a park. Say simple things like hello or can you help me?" One day, I went to a cafe near my school. I was nervous, so nervous, but I said to the waiter, "Hello, can I have a coffee, please?" He smiled and said, "Sure." I was so happy. I spoke English and he understood me. Ms. Emma also taught us about shadowing. She said, "Listen to native English speakers and copy what they say. This helps your pronunciation." She played a video of a woman reading a story. We listened and repeated the words. My pronunciation, it got better. I wanted to stay in London, but I needed money. My roommates, they told me about a job center. They said, "The job center helps students find jobs." I went to the job center on Wednesday. The kind woman named Lisa worked there. I said, "Hello, I'm Maya. I'm a student. I want a job." Lisa smiled and said, "We have jobs for students. Do you want to work in a cafe or a shop?" I thought about it. I said, "I want to work in a cafe. I can practice English there." Lisa said, "Great. There's a cafe near your school. They need a waitress. You can start on Monday." I was so excited. A job in a cafe. I could meet people and speak English every day. Lisa gave me the address. She said, "Good luck, Maya." On Monday, I started my job. Cafe was small and busy. My boss, Mr. James, was kind. He said, "Maya, don't worry. I'll teach you everything." I learned how to take orders and serve coffee. Customers said, "Thank you and good job." I felt so proud. Working at the cafe helped my English. I learned words like menu, order, and bill. I learned to speak faster. Sometimes I made mistakes, but Mr. James said, "It's okay, Maya. Keep practicing." In London, I wanted to make friends. At school, I met a girl named Aiko from Japan. She was quiet but so kind. One day, I said, "Hello, Aiko. Do you like to read?" She smiled and said, "Yes, I love books." We started talking about books. Aiko liked adventure stories just like me. We decided to read The Little Prince together. After class, we went to a park and read. We helped each other with new words. Aiko was my first friend in London. Cafe. I met a customer named Tom. He came every day and always said, "Hello, Maya. How are you?" One day he said, "Maya, do you like music? There's a concert in the park on Saturday. Do you want to go?" I said, "Yes, please." On Saturday, Tom and I went to the concert. We listened to music and talked. Tom, he was from London. He told us about the city. He said, "London has many parks and museums. You should visit them." Having friends made London feel like home. We spoke English together. I learned new words like concert, museum, and park. After 6 months in London, my English was much better. I could read books, talk to people, and work at the cafe. I wasn't shy anymore. I felt confident. One day, Ms. Emma said, "Maya, your English is great. You should study English literature at university." I was so happy to hear this. I applied to a university in London. They accepted me. I called my parents and said, "I'm going to study at university." They were so proud. London is my new home now. I still read every day. I think aloud and practice shadowing. I visit museums with Aiko. I go to concerts with Tom. I work at the cafe and save money for my studies. My journey from a quiet village to London was not easy, but it was worth it. I learned English, made friends, and found my dreams. I want you to learn English too. Read, speak, and don't be afraid. You can do it. Thank you for watching my story on StoryPath English. I hope you enjoyed Maya's journey. I hope you learn new words. Practice English every day. Read, speak, and listen. You can be like Maya and follow your dreams. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Leave a comment and tell us, what is your dream? Do you want to learn English like Maya? Check out our other videos on StoryPath English for more stories to learn English. See you next time.